Good morning, Cougars. We are going to be looking at finding 10% of a number. Now, this is a super important skill, not only because you're going to continue to use percents in all the grade levels that you have from here through the rest of your educational career, but it's also something that as adults, you're going to use on a regular basis. We use finding 10% of a number to help us calculate sales if something is on sale. We use it to help us calculate tip at a restaurant. There are all sorts of uses for finding 10% of a number, and today we're going to help you figure out how to do it mentally so that it becomes fast and it becomes easy. If you remember in 6th grade, we introduced the idea of finding a percent of a number using double number lines. If I can create a double number line and look at that 100%, and what that meant in terms of my number, I can find a percent of that whole number. Well, I'm going to look at how do I go from 100 down to 10? Well, 100 divided by 10 gets me to 10. In order for it to be equivalent, that means I have to do the same on the top. I have to divide by 10. But what exactly does that mean to divide by 10? Well, 10% is the same as 10 over 100 because percent means out of 100. If I do some quick simplification, I find that 10 over 100 is the same as 1/10. And if I do some division, 1 divided by 10 is the same as 1/10 as a decimal. So dividing by 10 is going to be the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, which is 1/10. So let's use our example of 75. If I'm trying to find 1/10 of 75, I'm going to take 75 and I'm going to multiply it by 1/10. Well, 1 times 75 is 75, but I have one number adjusted for that decimal, which means from the end of my answer, I have to adjust that decimal point one place value as well. So 1/10 of 75 is going to be 7.5. Does that strategy work every time? Is finding 10% of a number simply a matter of adjusting that place value? I could walk through all of these steps again, or we can just practice. If I have 35 and 7/10, and I want to find 1/10 of that, I know my number, 1 times 35.7 is going to give me 35 and 7, but now I have 2 place values after the decimal point. So 1/10 of 35 and 7/10 is 3 and 57/100. So multiplying by 1/10 or dividing by 10 is as simple as adjusting the place value of your decimal. But what about whole numbers? We don't put decimal points in whole numbers. You're absolutely correct. We don't normally write them, but that doesn't mean they're not there. That's part of that invisible math. All whole numbers have a decimal. It's after the ones digit. In the number 101, 1 is in the ones digit, so that decimal point follows immediately afterward. We've already looked at finding 10% of a number means I adjust the decimal point one spot to the left. So 10% of 101 is going to be 10 and 1/10. Today you're going to go on to do some extra practice with this idea of finding 10% of a number. You can do it. I know you can.